Today we're going to be talking about something pretty special. We're going to be talking about identity design. A lot of you asked about that, and we have a very special treat because Master Doe is going to be showing us how he does it. You don't like Master Doe? Well, stick around. Title card.
Yeah!
Yeah, all right. We have a lot of audience. This week, identity design. How many title cards are we going to get? So in the audience, we have Nicole, Vincent. Clap for yourselves. Yay, Nicole, Vincent, Emily.
Yay!
Yeah,
Nice. She's like a
Andrew
professional.
running the camera over here, and of course we have Ty, the master of the tech, running.
There's a lot of masters in
A lot of
here.
masters going on. All right, so Chris, let's get this show started.
Let's get it started.
This is an exciting episode. I'm excited to learn how you do it. So, what is it that? Why are you doing this episode? First of all,
Because you told me to.
You're the executive producer, but no, people have asked. Can you talk about identity? And this is one of the top requested topics, actually.
Top requested topics.
Top of that.
Remix.
Okay, so now
Yes.
let's actually look at it.
Alright.
So let's start with a question of what's the agenda for today?
The agenda. Let's put up the agenda, Ty.
Boom.
There's our agenda. So I'm going to break this down into 4 parts. Identity versus branding. We're going to get started with the design, talking about brand definition, and perhaps a way to design smarter. And hopefully I spelled that correctly.
Smarter?
Is that
I
what-
think you did, yeah. Pretty
All
close.
right.
All right,
Anyways.
so identity versus branding. What are you talking about?
Identity versus branding. Let's look at this. And it's a term that's a buzzword. Branding is used a lot in our industry, and it's used in kind of in the equal way that you might talk about a logo. So I pulled this up. This is the Nike logo,
Yep, we all
or
recognize
symbol.
it.
And
And
underneath
some
it,
German.
it's French.
Okay, sorry.
Ceci n'est pas un brand. Right?
Oh.
And what this means is, like Magritte's painting, this isn't a brand. This is
So wait,
a
that
mark.
is a brand. That's a logo
It's
brand.
not.
For no?
No,
What is it?
it's a
then?
logo. And so this is all taken from Marty Neumeier's book, The Brand Gap, which I love, and you guys need to
We love you,
read.
Marty. Call me.
Maybe. Anyways,
Keep on going.
a logo is a term used for logo type, and designers use this in lieu of using the word trademark, which is a custom
Greek? Oh,
letter.
I like that.
Custom lettered word.
You know why I like the trademark? The logos in Greek means word.
Logos.
Because in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God. Boom, that's deep. All
Boom.
right.
Okay, anyways, a
Dropping
trademark.
it biblical.
I didn't know what you're
laughing.
doing. Okay. Anyways, a trademark can be a logo, symbol, monogram, emblem, or other graphic device. A trademark is not the brand itself. It's merely a symbol for it, as in with the Nike logo.
Totally.
That's
So,
a trademark.
so a trade is, I have a tackle fishing, shop, and that's my trade. And then the mark is the mark that represents me.
Sounds about right.
All right, great.
Okay, so what we want to talk about is understanding of branding. And so we can't talk about identity design or logo design without understanding the larger context of branding. And so I love this definition because it's something I can wrap my head around. A brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or company. You can't control the process, but you can influence it.
Got you. And that's from Marty's book, The Brand
Yes.
Gap.
And so here's a couple illustrations to kind of bring it home. So on the left is a guy and he's saying to a girl, "I'm a great lover." And that's marketing.
Got
All
it.
right, got it. And so when you do it over the telephone, saying "I'm a great lover," that's telemarketing.
So over the internet, it'd be internet marketing.
What is that called? Email blast?
No, it's called online dating.
Online dating? Okay. Anyways, if somebody else says it for you, trust me, he's a great lover. That's called public relations.
Word of mouth or WOM. That's the word.
WOM, word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
Okay.
WOM.
WOM. And if you keep saying, "I'm a great lover, I'm a great lover, I'm a great lover," over and over again, that's
Obnoxiousness of advertising.
advertising.
And if you're at now,
And if you say it with a symbol instead of with
Mm.
words, you're a graphic designer.
interesting.
graphic
So it's
design.
a manifestation. It's a visual manifestation of the words.
Yeah.
Love it.
When she tells you, "I understand you're a great lover," that's branding.
Got you.
So to recap, branding. See, Vincent's like,
But where did you steal all those graphics from?
from. Hold on, don't get ahead of me. Branding, it's not what you say it is, it's what they say it is.
Got you.
You need to understand this, okay? So now that you understand this definition of it, you'll never look at a logo and start telling people it's the brand.
Got
It's
it.
not the brand.
If you say that, you're a newbie.
You're a newbie.
Yeah.
Okay, and where do we get this from? The book, The Brand Gap. Marty Newmeyer,
If
liquidagency.com.
you're a graphic designer and you haven't read this, like go to Amazon and order it. We should just give people our affiliate link.
No, we're going to.
Okay.
We are.
Okay.
So
There's a link below.
we have complaints before about not providing links. I've done my best, to Chris Doe in Jose's words, to provide all the links and reference points at the bottom. All right. And so when we look at branding, there are a lot of touch points, consumer touch points that define the brand. And some of those things are the website, the decor, if you're a brick and mortar place, the graphics, the customer experience, the staff and how they treat you, all those kinds of things. Product, logo, messaging, signage, packaging.
I'm making a lot of noise.
All right. Anyways, well, let's get started, right? So the client that we're going to work on is Ole's Hakai Pass, and it's a fishing lodge. You fly in, it's in a remote location, it's only available by plane, float plane.
Where is it located? Where's the Ole's located?
It's in British Columbia, kind of off the central west coast of Canada.
And they're a client, but you're also a customer.
Correct.
So you know them all. Excellent. What does our current logo look like?
It looks something like this, Jose.
Whoa. 1970s call. They want their logo back.
Let's be nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually great. It's perfect
Isn't it?
for it. It's perfect.
So I know what a lot of designers in our audience are going to be thinking right now, that maybe the fish could use a new illustration. It looks a little like clip art. The colors need some help. There's the foot mark instead of an apostrophe. There's this complex kind of blue, white, black on a light blue background. And so we're ready to go.
Boom, just
we're ready to go.
Races.
So we're on the starter blocks and we're ready to run because we have all these design skills and we're ready to get redesigning.
Started, yeah.
Right? So all we can focus is going down the lane and finishing fast, and we've got all those skills.
Look at you in Shutterstock images. That looks good.
Yeah. And so here, I put together just a bunch of logos, like what it could be.
So these are references that you found on Behance.
Yes, and they're from very talented designers. If you need them, just look them up on Behance. It's very easy to find great designers. And here's the problem with this, is we're going wide. We're casting a very wide net, and we're doing a lot of work, a lot of ideation. But this is how I was taught how to design identity systems and logos.
Well, you haven't put pen to paper yet.
I haven't, but if I were back kind of like 18 years ago, I might sit down and I might start doing a lot of sketches.
Got it.
I
So
might
you're looking
do
at
a
references
symbol
now.
like an anchor that seems kind of cool, and you can see the one that's the Merchiori where there's like 2 M's in there. It's beautiful. They're all beautiful marks, right?
Yep, they're all very nice.
In the open air journal, that's pretty cool too. So what I'm encouraging you guys to do is to think more and make less, because what happens
Blasphemy.
is there's a huge gap, a huge divide between you as a designer and your client. And this seems to be like the #1 question that we get, is there's this conflict that exists.
Objective reality meets subjective expectations. We get that question asked a lot, which is, how do I get my client to buy into my design? Which is really a weird question.
Well, you know what? It might be a weird question, but I'll tell you right now, I may be guilty of it sometimes, and more so earlier in my career.
We've all done it. We've all done the walk-in, shooting without listening. So the challenge obviously is, how do you objectively represent and present a narrative that the client feels is theirs?
For
Does that make
me,
sense?
yeah, if I don't have an objective goal, what I'll do is I'll design lots of things because I don't know what I'm looking for.
You're quantitative. Yeah. I like
I'm
that.
quantitative.
Yeah, and I'm qualitative. If the client feels like it's not theirs, like I'm doing it, I want to make them feel good, like they're part of the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So oddly enough, where I got this definition from is from a book called Story, written by Robert McKee. And he teaches all the Hollywood level kind of A-listers how to craft a better script. And in story, you want conflict because that makes for drama and for an interesting point of view. But in a business transaction, you don't want that conflict, not at all.
Ty, you can cut to us a little bit during this whole thing so that people don't just get slide. Look, we're still here. We're behind the camera. We're behind the slides. Like,
Hold on, let me put on my shirt.
behind
Hold on.
your- yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Right. So, but this is a good book. Get it
Anyways,
on Amazon.
so-
Look, we're right there. Hey, hello.
There we
Hi.
are.
We're not just slides.
All right.
All right. So now we can go back to slides.
So anyways, what we want to do is we want to define the brand before we get started.
How do we do that?
Well, you need a framework, and you can use something like Core, or you can use any process that you want. But we've broken it down into these steps. I'm not going to dive deep into this, but this is what it
And you
looks
guys have
like
seen
for
it.
the client.
We can put a link below. Like I love promising links.
Don't promise a link if you're not going to deliver it. It's Vincent's job.
Vincent, is your job to make sure there's a link to the episode on brand attributes and.
And I'll make little bubbles like this and kind of pull out the keywords. And I'm looking for words that, at least for me, are kind of more visual, less abstract, you know?
So these are the top ones that you got from that.
Yeah,
exercise
they're
with
what are
client.
these?
So the client came up with these.
The client came up with this.
You didn't just shoot these out.
I did not.
Got it.
But I did facilitate that conversation.
Got it.
So if they gave me an abstract word, I would ask them, what does that mean? Can we find another word? Is it more like this word? When you say this, do you mean this?
And this totally makes sense.
So I'm not merely note-taking here.
Right.
Okay,
So you're participating and facilitating.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
what I did was I saw these words that kind of seemed to group together, the ones in light blue and the ones in dark blue. And when they move around like this,
Woo, animation.
I started to think about what the words in light blue have in common. And it's not quite luxury, but it's refined.
Gotcha.
And I like the pairing against that of rustic. These are two words
like
that don't
that.
go together.
Well, they both have art. So is that alliteration? Is that what that is called in literature?
It is
Refined rustic.
alliteration,
Alliteration, I
I
believe.
believe.
All right. Cool.
And then casual charming, old school. So what I try to do now is I try and find photography that represents refined rustic. That's my filter now. Because in the internet, there's a million different kinds of photos and different styles in which this can go down. So now refined rustic, I'm defining it here.
Gotcha.
And you can see that there's a logical progression here,
But
right?
more importantly, the client has seen this narrative. Refined rustic is what we came up with from this process.
Yep.
Now look at what we're shooting back to you.
Right. So if an image doesn't look refined rustic, then we have some problems.
Gotcha.
So this is a well-traveled person. There's a sense of curation, and there's antique objects, vintage things that kind of come together to create a certain mood. Nothing looks brand new.
So these are mood boards. You got these references from the interweb.
Yes, one of them actually is a photo from their place.
Gotcha.
And then I find more typographic samples. You can see here, everything is weathered, a little distress, hand done. So that's the vibe, right? And then I found images that kind of can represent their lodge.
It's a great place.
It is a great
Oh, this
place.
is not their lodge.
This is not
these
their
are pictures.
lodge.
Gotcha.
But as they go through, iterations of refining their decor, as the budget allows for it, I'm sure this will help to inform certain things.
Yeah, this is a
Right.
foundation for the future.
It's kind of like the ultimate man cave.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually awesome.
I
And
would
that's
like to go there.
That's really the clientele. So the
Right.
prices look really good, and I'm now hungry.
All right. So, anyways, I put together some logos because this is an identity design assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I put some logos together that I feel communicate refined rustic. And so all the way from the left to the right, there's a consistent thinking here. I would be happy with any one of these. And I showed all of these to them.
You showed this to the client.
I showed them everything.
So for those of you who are just joining us for the show, Chris is showing us references for the redesign of Oli's Hakai Pass logo and identity as a whole, and he's showed us the evolution of where it's come from. So
right. Here we are. The one on the left is their current logo, and the one on the right is a sample of what their logo could look like. And so when we say refined rustic, the one on the left is neither refined nor rustic. So now their old logo is off-brand towards the new positioning of the company.
You know, to be fair, it's not awfully horrible.
I didn't say that.
Just in case. All right.
All right.
But the new stuff looks really clean.
So that's where we would propose it to go. And if you can look at this, this is a pretty radical departure. There's no fish in it. There's no kind of woodcut illustration. There's no wave. There's no chunky type. We're going to just focus on the word Oli's.
Well, did the client have a problem with that? That we're a fishing lodge. We should have fish in our logo.
Well, if you take them through this whole process, you don't get pushback.
You don't get pushback. You haven't had any pushback. They trust you fully.
Well, I'll tell you where the pushback came in, and we'll talk about that as
let's
it
keep on
evolves.
going.
All right. So
And then,
now,
this is for also those of you who asked the question: how do I convince my client?
so here we are. So now we can start designing. So let's design, right?
Yeah.
And so as I have buy-in from the client as to what it's going to look like, I can start sketching, and I'm on conference calls taking notes for other meetings. It doesn't really matter. I'm just doodling and kind of being influenced by the direction. And I'm not an expert letterform designer, but I'm drawing. You can
Not
see
bad,
it's my
not bad.
sketchbook, right? I'm using my
defend
calligraphy
yourself.
pen. Yeah. And so what I'll do now is I'll switch over to sketch mode.
Interesting.
Right. So I'm going to escape out of this.
So you as a creative director, you're sketching.
I'm going to sketch, man.
All right, you're gonna sketch, man, and now we have the Mac.
Yeah,
desktop.
I'm gonna see
Yay.
what happens here.
You can come back to us for while the Mac desktop is up on there.
Let me look
So the interesting thing about what I'm seeing or what I see your process, two things have stood out to me. One is how you took the brand attributes and you came up with two primary attributes. I like that a lot. and that they really represent the core. I don't do that enough. And that actually really helps me think through some of the projects that I'm doing right now, my consulting projects. And I already can see the mistakes that I'm making, that I'm not actually distilling it sufficiently to give enough clarity to the team and to the client. It's still too open. Good call, Mr. Quantitative.
All right, so in front of me, you guys are going to see my sketch pad, right? This is just normal tracing paper.
It's blurry.
It is blurry, don't worry.
It's kind of cool.
You just deal with it. And it's got a massive lag to it. So look, I can't draw a perfect circle, so I got this super handy Scotch shipping packaging tape. It's super technical right now. I'm gonna just draw a little circle because I know I want a circular logo.
Less blurry now.
Right?
Drawing
So
with
hopefully-
Chris Do. This is a new show.
I can hit this and maybe it'll autofocus it.
Ah, there you go. Ooh, focus.
Is it in focus?
Nice circle.
All right,
Now it's
so
focused.
right now I'm gonna do a little sketch. And so I know I want it on a diagonal. Right, can you guys see that?
Yeah, you can see.
So I'm gonna sketch in. So I'm gonna just keep it nice and loose.
And for those of you who are tuning in, who might not be, as and letter form design is something. It's a class that's actually really important. And Emily, I don't know, did you take lettering in school? Did you take it with Leah?
No, Neil's instructor.
Neil. Okay, got it. So I think that's one of the classes that for me, it definitely makes a huge difference to actually understand. Check that out. Look at that footage. Chris Do going super fast. To actually understand weights, to actually understand just the nuances of letter forms, and to get to do it. So in lettering class, what did you do, Emily, during lettering? What was the assignments?
Well, we first had to use the markers and write Caslon, the black tip.
Caslon's a font.
Right, and that was for the first week, and then the second week was we drew black letters, and then after that we used the lead holders to draw actual pigment strip.
Which is what I'm using right now. Can you guys see that? There's the pencil.
So you're drawing script. So you start with a serif, a black letter, and then a script. Did you do the plaka paint like with a brush thing?
That's Leah Hoffman.
That's Leah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she's the only one who does that.
Who did?
Who did that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
right now I'm working on line weights, right? I want to point out one thing here. As you can see, the emphasis is on a diagonal. So the heaviest parts of the font should be here. See this diagonal right there? That's where
there's even a
emphasis.
narrative within the context, or at least structurally within the context, you even have that choice of having the diagonal be so thick in the center. It gives it a visual anchor, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So I'm like a play-by-play in a football game. So
Love it.
Chris Do is drawing the Ollie's logo. Notice the emphasis on the center point by having the thicker parts be in the center. So the weights of the script are actually a little bit thicker and they thin out as you go. That gives you a diagonal line that draws the eye. Okay.
Right. So now, since I don't have a template, I'm going to just sketch in where that inner circle might be.
Hakai, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chris makes it look really easy, but again, a lot of it is about practice, and a lot of it is about just sign up for a class. Even if it's in your local community college, if there's a lettering class or a calligraphy class, the goal is not anything other than to get experience in understanding the fundamentals. Fundamentals. I believe that you can teach anybody design. Some people disagree. Some people are born with it, or that they're born with a certain degree of mastery of it. But you can learn it too. You too can be a master designer like Master Do. If you act now, you can order the typography kit from. Wait, we don't have a typography kit. Wrong show. This is the wrong show.
So, I'm not going to sit here. I think we're okay on time so far.
Yeah, we're okay on time. Yeah, for sure.
And then I know.
So what do you use a sketch for? Why would you even sketch this? To show it to who?
Well, I'm going to tell you that answer in a second.
Because you can do this on the computer. It's much easier. I can do this in the Photoshops. So here's some common mistakes that beginners in identity work like this make. One of them is to depend only on the computer. That's one big mistake. Two, I see this happen very frequently. Don't design in Word. Okay, no, that's too far back. So let's go.
I don't know why this is flipped the opposite way on
the camera. You might have to have a setting there that flips it, but I don't think.
Let me adjust it.
Yeah. So one thing real quick while he's addressing the flip is the idea that, so who we're really addressing is those of you who might actually have a studio, who might have one of the more than two people. Chris and I are sharing our knowledge and directing projects. If you're smaller, if you're an individual, a lot of you might say, well, I can't really do this. I don't have a team. Keep in mind what Chris is going to share next, and how he actually worked on the execution of the design of the, well, he's doing the design now in general, but how he's getting it produced will give you a hint as to what you can do too in order to grow your practice and do more work. Also, the other thing that I see in our audience is that you might not be a designer. You might actually be more of a strategist, or you might be a tech person who's running an agency, a studio, or a web practice. You know, if you feel comfortable mastering the brief and a lot of those other components, you can always hire really good designers. Chris, do you hire other designers to do stuff like this for you?
I hire designers as often as I can.
Why is that? What's the reason why you prefer? You can do it yourself.
I can, but I believe that they're experts at what they do. So I like to find designers who have deep knowledge about what it is, whether it's character design, modeling, concept art, letter form design. If all they do is do black letter form design, I'd rather just hire them. What I do in this sketch is trying to work out all the iterations beforehand.
Placement, where things go.
Yeah, generally like hierarchy of information, those kinds of things. That's why I can block it out with a pencil like this with my lead holder.
Kind of like directors do in film. They block out the shot and then they give it to a sketch artist and then a cinematographer.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
the process
I
is
sketch my
layered.
own storyboards too. And then I hire storyboard artists to do the actual drawing, to clean up the perspective and all that stuff.
The tip is don't do everything yourself.
Can you see there? There we go.
There
There's
we
a
go.
logo.
Look at that.
It's on tissue.
A hand of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
And what I'll do-
Chris does sketching skills.
Right? So I know, okay, so let's jump back into Keynote now. Let me switch this mode
Switch mode.
back to,
Missy Elliott. I think all my life should be hip hop metaphors. It's going to be the new show. Well, you know, and one of the things that I think is really interesting about seeing Chris work in his process, and comment, like, let us know what you think of Chris actually working on identity. You made a lot of really great comments when I was working on strategy last week.
all right, we're back, right?
And we're back.
So here you can see that Emily, one of our designers, she worked on a bunch of different iterations. We're getting close here. She's trying to figure out where to put the year in which the company was formed, 1984, the hierarchy of Vancouver, British Columbia, as opposed to the Salmon Fishing Lodge. And so that's what we're working through.
Did you show these to the client?
No.
Got it.
You know why? Now, normally I might show the client something like this. The reason why I don't need to is because we already agreed that the logo needs to be in this ballpark.
And they just need to see it kind of finished.
Right,
Like,
and they trust me. They're not a kind of company that is used to working with design firms, so I don't want to overwhelm them with information.
But you know, that's a good thing, because there's a lot of people out there that are working, and some companies might not be used to that. So be gentle on your clients.
Yeah, so you can see the one on the lower left. It's getting pretty close to where I can hand it off to this person. Now, I happen to refer to this logo for Oban Jones, and I reached out to him.
You used Oban's typography as a reference.
As reference to
pitch.
say, like, can it be like this?
Yeah.
And my intent the entire time was actually to hire Oban, and I got lucky because sometimes they're not available, they're not interested, or they're just too expensive. And in this case, he was available and interested, and I could afford him. So I'd rather just hire him rather than work on it myself, because he's going to bring the little touches to it that.
Can we ask the ballpark of what you paid?
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, great.
But I could afford it though.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's say it was between $500 and $2,000.
Let's say.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, so Oban, he wound up doing this sketch and he sent this to me.
Nice.
And it's quite beautiful. And he
I like
added
how
the little,
the brush is really perfectly placed.
of course,
Yeah.
graphic designers. Now, Oban is out of the UK. And if you want to look him up, there's his information, Oban Jones on Behance. And while he was working on it, once I approved the pencil sketch, and again,
Yeah.
I did not show this to the client.
You just
I
approved
just
it.
said, this is the way it's got to be.
Got
Let Oban do his thing. And I asked him to show me works in progress. I mean, just to take photos just for reference later on, because I think it makes for a more interesting story.
I love it.
So Oban was
Great
gracious enough
photos.
to shoot some photos with his, I assume, iPhone or something while he's doing this one-handed. And here's his process. And he's doing pen and ink painting. Not pen and ink, just an ink, like India ink, watered down a little bit, and he painted this in. It's beautiful. And here's the finished product. The brush is always
I love the
perfectly
texture.
placed.
I really love the texture, and the fact that you can see that it isn't perfectly solid.
Right. So you asked me before, did the client have any pushback? And they did have a little bit of pushback. So you see that hook that's on the top of the O, kind of on the upper
It
left
makes
corner.
it look like Hanukkah pass.
So they said, you know, they had more of a question than a mandate that must be removed. They said, you know, do you think people might misread it as Shakai Pass or something like that instead of Hakai Pass? And given that they've had some bad experiences before with people misreading and legibility, I didn't want to run into that. So here we go. This is the finished logo. We cleaned it up. I still need to work on some of the refinement, the lettering, and the texture to make sure everything's legible. But
That little plus sign is actually from the screenshot, or is that in there?
what little plus sign?
Oh, the little X's.
The little
Oh,
X's
the little
are
X's.
to negate the negative space.
Gotcha.
That's all it is, right?
Cool.
So let's look back. This is where we started on the left. And remember the Oban Jones logo on the right. Now Oban himself designed the logo. So now it's Ollie's, and there it is.
That's
and-
super badass.
And you asked to see some applications on the t-shirt.
Nice.
And, you know, out of context, sometimes people think it's not going to work. And the beauty of the way this logo was conceived was that it could be stripped down just to say Ollie's, or to have the entire circular mark on it, like a little badge, and there it is.
Well, what's funny is that I can see this being even like a T-shirt, you know, in a retail establishment, you know, being sold. Even, you know how sometimes it's just ironic T-shirts and like, you know, Ollie's doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but this is really
Like Hollister?
It kind of,
One of those
something
brands,
like that.
yeah. And actually, that's what we're doing with them.
How does it fit into the context of the rest of the brand? Like, the
Well, I
other
want to
stuff?
show you.
Okay. Go.
But if you can see somebody wearing this, it gives you a feeling, right? It's not the brand, but it's part of it. And I started working on some ads for them, some messaging. And so here's where we're doing something with for the young and young at heart. This is a photo I took, these two guys. And here's one of my dad. And it's got some brand attributes in it, but you know, you get the idea. For a moment, he's a kid again.
Love it. You can actually see a GoPro over there in the.
That's right. That's
in
my
the shot.
GoPro.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for me.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Chris, first of all, thank you for sharing that. That was awesome to see your process. Here are the lessons that I took away, and I want to see what lessons you guys took away, the audience. I took away the lesson of summarizing the brand attributes into only one or into two, which is nice because they paired together. That really defined the look and feel and the way that the mood boards of the references work. And the process of getting from, you know, a reference to the actual logo was really like, it was nice. It was kind of like it dropped in very smoothly, and it, like a film director, almost working out kind of like the little details, etc. That's how you do masterfully, or how you masterfully do an identity, because it fits the context. It's not about you. That's not your style. Your style is Din and Mr. Roboto, Arigato. You know, everything would be like super modernist. You're going completely outside of your style and working on something that you know is the right thing to do.
Yes, that does compute.
Computing perfectly. You guys have questions? What did you learn?
Wait.
from that?
I got to. It's
We gotta
past the
wrap.
hour.
We
I
gotta
have to wrap. I have to jump.
Okay, you got to
You guys continue the
Questions?
conversation. What do we call it?
We do have
overtime.
We have questions?
Overtime. Let's
We
do
can continue.
overtime. All right. You guys join us on overtime. What's the hashtag, Jose?
School live, hashtag SK.
And how do they ask us questions in overtime?
Schoolrocks.com.
Via the Google Hangouts?
We've left it. We've given an extra 10 minutes at the end, so it'll just.
So
be
we're hanging out
open
with you
and
guys for 10 minutes
Great, guys.
afterwards, and we're just going to talk and chat, okay?
Well, I hope you learned
Thank you,
something. You know, it's going to take way more than half an hour for me to show you the letter form design, but let us know what you guys think. We're
Did you
always
like this
open to
episode?
suggestions, right?
Did you like it?
Yes.
Share it. Did you like it? Yeah.
Thank you for saying something. All right. Thanks, guys. Tune in next
thanks.
time.